Okay, so we were here, last time we were here, we talked about area, right? And we talked about finding areas of some different shapes. And remember, with areas, you're always going to be involved with formulas. Now today what we're going to do is talk a little bit about what happens when I'm not just trying to use the formula to find an area, but I have an area, but I have a missing part of the formula. Okay? So, if you have a formula, what you really have is an equation. Right? So all you have to do to solve the equation is first plug in the values you know. So you're going to be given some values.
Sequoia!
Hey.
Sequoia!
Plug in the values that you know, right? And make sure that you're putting the right number in the right spot and use what? Brackets. Don't put something in without brackets because it changes the operation. Okay? Use brackets. Then simply solve the equation. The difference between these equations and some of the other equations that we've worked with is that these geometric things are going to have units in them. And you need to use your units when you're doing the equation. Because we'll do this example that we have on the board as an example of why the units are so important while you're doing the work. Okay? So let's just look at an example. In this particular example, came from your last homework assignment. We're talking about the area of a trapezium, right? So if we have a trapezium, we have a formula for that. Does anybody remember the formula for area of a trapezium?
Yeah.
Area equals what?
A plus B over 2.
A plus B over 2.
Times by C. Times by length.
Height, right? Times the height, okay?
I thought C was height.
Okay, so height. All right, now, and they gave us a picture of a trapezium, and they said that we had, the top of it was 14 kilometers. It's a big trapezium. The bottom of it is 29 kilometers. They gave us a measurement, a place where height was measured, but they did not give us a value. But they did tell us that the area of this trapezium was 215 kilometers squared. Right? So I have one unknown. Well, that's just a simple equation.
I know how to do it.
Okay? So we're just going to plug in what we know. We didn't do it together in class yet. So we're just going to plug in what we know and then solve the equation. Okay? So, first, I'm looking for area. Do we have an area?
Yes.
Yep. What is it?
215
What?
kilometers squared.
Exactly. And remember, your A and your B are simply the top and the bottom. So A is 14 kilometers plus your B, which is 29 kilometers. And that's all divided by 2. And that whole thing is times h. And since I don't know the h, we're just going to leave it as the letter h. And now all I have to do is solve the equation. First thing you look for when you're solving any equation are what? Brackets. And do I have any? Yes. So, let's go ahead. It comes from the formula, yeah. So 14 kilometers plus 29 kilometers is going to combine to give me 43 kilometers. And then I have to divide that 43 kilometers by what? 2. And dividing it by 2 is going to give me 21.5 kilometers. Still times my h. And I would prefer you leave it in brackets, but if you want to change it to a multiplication symbol, that's fine. But, okay? Now, I'm trying to get the h by itself. Is it by itself right now? No. How is that 21.5 kilometers stuck to the h? What operation? And the opposite of multiply is simply divide. So I'll simply divide both sides by 21.5 kilometers. Over here, they'll divide away. Anything divided by itself, no matter how big or how small, turns into a 1. And 1h I don't need. I could just leave it as plain old h. Over here, 215 divided by 21.5 gives me what number? 10. And kilometers squared, if I divide out a kilometer out of a kilometer squared, what do I have left? Just plain kilometers. And so there you are. So these are those problems we didn't get to last time before those, but all of those areas, if you're missing one piece, just plug it into the formula, no matter what formula you have. Okay? So you can do the same thing with an area of a rectangle? Sure. I just need to know the formula and which piece is missing, right? Could I do the same thing with area of a triangle? Absolutely. I just need to know the formula and all the pieces that are missing. Okay? Could I do the same thing with a circle? Is there a formula for circle? Yeah. Yes. They're all just equations. Okay? All right. So I just wanted to go through that with you so that you can look at those. And so you're going to be practicing your equations. Remember that from this point out, everything we do, we're going to be using some algebra. That was the whole point of doing the algebra section first, and now we're going to concentrate on using it. So I want to see you setting these up as equations, not just doing it in your head if it's short and easy. I want to see the equations. So, does that mean you're just going to type the answer into Education Perfect? No, you're going to type a line of working, add a line of working, add a line of working until you're done. Or, alternately, you can write it out on paper and then type the answer into Education Perfect, but you better be prepared to show me that paperwork. Right? Now, those of you who did not write out problems and just did them, did you see that you might have suffered a tiny bit on your scores for your algebra exam?
Severely.
No, I did not.
So,